So a couple days ago on my story, I shared a post about my insanely hyperactive brain. I feel like I constantly have a million thoughts, to-do list items, ideas swirling around in my brain at once. And especially in school, I thought this was such a curse. I struggled to focus in class, to focus on schoolwork, to take tests, all of it. And at that point, I turned for help. So I went to go see a doctor who sent me to a psychiatrist. And one of you reached out to me and said, have you been officially diagnosed? Can you share what that process looks like? Like, I feel like I'm crazy and I don't know what to do about it. So I felt like I was crazy and I didn't know what to do about it. I remember distinctly thinking at one point, Amanda, like, you're an adult. You should be able to pay attention in class, do the dishes, do your homework. Like, there's something wrong with you. And instead I found myself like doodling, doing 2 dishes, 2 emails, a little bit of my essay, like bouncing around, while I had friends who could just sit and get their homework done in 2 hours. And I was so envious of that. Felt like it must be me. I must be broken. It must be something wrong with me. So I went to get help. And the process for that looked like I went to a doctor who sent me to a psychiatrist. That psychiatrist gave me a form. I filled out this form. He read through it and was like, yep, you have ADHD. And I left with a prescription medication. So what the psychiatrist and no doctor, anybody asked was, what did my life look like? What did my history, my past look like? And at this point in my life, I was taking 22 units of grad school. That's bananas. People usually take like 12 to 14. I was taking 22 credits of grad school while also collecting my thesis data and working 2 different jobs, let alone having a social life, keeping my dog alive, and being really active in my church. What I needed to happen at this point was for him to ask me about my life. What I needed so desperately was for somebody to tell me to quit a job, was to maybe drop a class or 2. Part of the reason why my brain got to the extreme level that it did at that point in my life was because I was begging it to go 200 miles an hour. So the first step to looking at this is to say, what does my life look like? Am I saying yes to too many things? Now, kind of back to my story with medication, he prescribed me medication, and the truth is it worked. It worked for me, but what it did was it just facilitated this unhealthy lifestyle. It helped me to focus when I needed to focus, which gave me this false sense of, again, reinforming, or I guess reiterating to me that you should be able to do it all, you should be able to do it all well, and you should be able to do it all as well as it looks like everybody else is doing it all. And so over the next kind of 2 to 3 years, I was kind of on and off medication for my ADHD. I would kind of use it as needed, and then I would hate the side effects and I would come off of it. And I finally had to have this moment where I sat down and it says, is this what you want? Like, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? And I didn't. I truly hated the side effects. And so I made the decision for me, not the right decision for everybody, but I made the decision for me that medication was not what I wanted to be part of my treatment for this. So I said, okay, what do I know? And this was when I was starting to learn about, meditation and mindfulness. And I already had a good exercise routine, and exercise helps with focus as well. And I started to explore what my life looked like in a whole 360 view. And I realized that and the thing to realize is the same way we all come to earth with different bodies, we all come to earth with different brains that look a little different, that fire a little different, that work a little different, that release a little different dose of chemicals. And so we all have that friend who is just like chill as a cucumber no matter what the situation, can get razor bullet focus for like 10 hours at a time. I will never be that friend. And so the first thing was to set realistic expectations for myself, to realize that I was going to do the best I could with my brain, and I knew that was better than where I was. And the second was I recognized that this was going to take years. I had decades, literally, of practice being hyperactive, of saying yes to everything, trying to do everything, and truthfully just probably wearing my brain down to the point where it just was tired. And a tired brain can't focus as well as one that's well rested, one that is only being asked to run as fast as it can run. So what this looked like for me, my journey away from medication, my journey into where I am right now. And where I am right now is I have trained my brain how to work for me when I need it to work for me. I don't ask my brain to be on and razor focused 100% of the time. I say, okay, Amanda, these are the couple hours that you really need to dial in. And so I've created some rituals, I'll talk to you about that, around kind of telling my brain, like, it's time to zone in, it's time to focus. And then I have, time of the day where I just let my brain go. I sit down with a notepad and I brainstorm for work and I let it bounce around, or I set aside an hour where I can clean the house however I want to clean the house. If that's 2 dishes, half a bathroom, vacuuming, and then I go back to it, like, I don't beat myself up for that anymore. And so it's this idea of, can I get my brain to work for me when I need it to work for me? And then can I learn how to work with my brain, with this busy mind that I have, and I've learned to look at as a gift. My busy mind, my crazy thoughts, is the only reason why I've been able to create such creative programs I have with Rise as We. Why I've been able to be so creative in my relationships and those building skills. So what my journey away from medication looked like, what my journey into learning how to put my brain to work for me instead of constantly letting it spin out against me, is a daily meditation practice. And this isn't complicated. It's anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes every single morning. And that is my formal practice. So the way that you go to the gym to formally train your body and build your muscles so that you can just live stronger and faster and be able to do more hikes and things, I train my brain formally in meditation. And it's not so I can get good at meditation. I don't care how good I am at meditation. It's so that I can set aside that time to say, hey, brain, it's time to chill. I know for a decade, I took way over the amount of schooling that I should have. I was in every extracurricular. I know I taught you that any kind of downtime was bad. I'm retraining you. I'm retraining you to know that it's okay just to chill. And the idea behind meditation isn't to clear your brain of thoughts. My brain goes to thoughts. But can I notice that I've gotten lost in thought? And can I come back to my breath? I'm training my brain to focus. Every time in meditation where my brain spins off, I say, oh, I've noticed that you have lost focus. Come back and focus. So you train focus the same way you train anything else. And for me, it's a little bit harder because I came with a brain, I think, that was just a little bit less focused. And maybe not. Maybe I came with a focused brain and I trained it to not be focused. Doesn't matter. My brain is where it is and yours is where it is too. So formal meditation practice. And then when I am in my day, if it is some of my formal work time, one of my favorite things is I grab a glass of water and I put on my headphones. Most of the time my headphones aren't playing music, but I put on my big headphones and that signals to me, it's just a ritual that I've created, yours might be different, that says, hey, it's time to focus. And sometimes when I get into that focus zone, my brain is still doing this. And I know when I do that, I kind of have 3 options. Either one, I get really frustrated. This is your focus time. You've done everything right. You meditated. How come you can't? And I fall into that old bad habit of this is your fault. Or 2, I move my body. I get up and I say 5-minute walk. 5-minute walk, and that usually helps you focus. Or 3, I take 1 minute, or I put on one lyricless song and I say close your eyes and breathe. When you take deep breaths, it taps into your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system that turns on your relaxation response. I need my nervous system to tell my brain that we are chill really often because my brain doesn't feel chill very often. And so I have incorporated tools into my life for those moments where my brain needs to be focused and it needs to work with me. And then I have created areas of my life, like I said, I clean my house however I need to clean my house, where I just kind of let my brain be what it is. And so I'm here to tell you, sis, and I don't want to run too long, so I want to close this with, if you feel like you are like me and your brain's doing this, and it's running a million miles an hour, if you feel like you're crazy and it's frustrating, I have been there, and I'm still there on a regular basis where I'm like, oh my gosh, can you just chill out? But if you don't want to turn to medication, or if medication hasn't worked for you, I'm telling you there are other options. And there ain't no shame in a medication game if that's the route that you want to go. But for me, the side effects just weren't worth it. But it's going to take work and it's going to take time. And I know you want me to have the magic answer. I know you want me to tell you how to fix it now. There is no magic answer, and I don't have that for you. But I do know that there are research-supported tools, there are research-supported lifestyle changes that can help you put your brain to work for you instead of suffering and struggling and feeling like it's constantly working against you. And some of those tools for me, and I call this my RX lifestyle. And this is something, I have a whole program about this for anxiety and depression. I have worked with a number of women on their ADHD as well, kind of helping them there. But creating an RX lifestyle is about what are the daily things that I can do to put myself in a more ideal position mentally, physically, and spiritually. What is it that I can do? Kind of my checklist, the same way you go to a doctor and he says, take this many milligrams at this time with food, etc. What is my checklist of, okay, did I meditate this morning? Have I moved my body for at least 30 minutes today? Have I drinking enough water? Water and your brain function are super connected. And so building in these different lifestyle habits to retrain your brain, and you can absolutely 100% repattern your brain. And so what I want to kind of challenge you, if you're one of those women who messaged me, if you're one of those women who was like, oh my gosh, that's me. What does your life look like? 360, do you need to start saying no to some things? Do you need to start creating more space in your life? Make time to be bored. Your brain needs to know that bored is not the worst thing in the world. The worst thing in the world is feeling like you can't control your brain. So what in your life do you need to say no to? Do you create still time? Whether that is prayer for you or meditation or, simply reading. Do you create space? Do you create time to just be? How often in your day do you stop doing and allow yourself to just be? And 3, how consistent are you with these practices? Your brain is spinning 24/7, 360 days. 365, that's how many days are in a year. 365 days out of the year. It is gonna take work. Your brain has decades of training to be as hardwired and crazy as it is. So that's kind of the checklist I have for you. What does your life look like? Do you need to start saying no to some things, take some things off your plate? Are you creating space to just be instead of constantly doing? And what are the daily things that you can do to help to start to retrain your brain? Things like physical movement, 30 minutes a day, even 5 minutes a day. Start where you are. Meditation, 1 minute. Can you sit and breathe for just 1 minute? Set a timer. Making sure that you're drinking water, taking care of yourself so that you can better take care of others. So if you've got still more questions after this was really just a time for me to come and share with you my story, share with you my journey through diagnosis, what that process looked for me, what I wish it would have looked like, looking at more of kind of a holistic whole lifestyle. What it looked like me on the medication, that it worked. It did. I'm not going to lie to you and say that it was the most awful thing. It helped facilitate, but what it did was, for me personally, it helped facilitate an unhealthy lifestyle. One where I was asking too much of myself constantly. And I hated the side effects. And then what did my journey away from medication look like? And it was messy, and it was imperfect, and it was frustrating, and it's a journey that I'm still in every day. But I have learned how to put my brain to work for me when I need it, and I have learned to love the messiness of my mind in the other moments, and how to even put that mess to work for me in some ways. So I hope this was helpful. Message me. If this was helpful, let me know. If sharing my story in this way resonated with you, was helpful for you, and for those of you who are looking for more official school tools, who don't want to do this alone, send me a message as well. Let's chat about the different things that I do and the way that I help women kind of rewire their brain and reclaim their life. I would love to do that too. And as always, if you've still got questions, drop into my DMs. And girl, your messy mind is beautiful. It's the only one you've got, so take care of it. Have a great rest of your day. Mwah.